For this tutorial, I'm using milk cotton yarn from my yarn store Adoma Fiber. I will link the information of how you can get the yarns in the description if you are in Ghana or you want me to ship to you. This pattern is a custom order and I love the details. Even though it is machine made, I'm replicating the handmade version. The first color is curry yellow, as you can see. And as usual, I love to pull my yarn from the middle, even though I face difficulties sometimes like this. But you know what? I just cut it off and use it because we are using different pieces or sections for the granny square, which makes it color, all about color. You also need a yarn needle, but of course it's optional. Of course, if you are following my color pattern, you start with curry yellow. You are first going to make a slip knot and then you are going to chain a total of 4. One, 2, 3, 4. This will serve as a magic ring. You are now going to insert your hook into the first chain and slip stitch. This will form a ring. Afterwards, you are going to make sure that you locate the very middle of the ring. Next, you are going to chain a total of 2. This counts as your first double crochet. Into the ring, you are going to place a double crochet. So as you can see, I'm going in the middle and I'm putting my first double crochet over there. Afterwards, we are going to add another double crochet into the same exact space or ring. This will make our first cluster. The chain 2 counts as a stitch plus the 3 double crochets, we have a cluster. Next, we are going to chain 1 and into the same space 3 double crochets, making your second cluster. We have 2 more clusters to go, separated by chain 1s, and so far we have 2 clusters, both made of 3 double crochets. Next, chain 1 into the same space again, 3 double crochets. Now we are going to do our final cluster. You always remember to chain your 1 and into the same exact space you are going to do a total of 3 double crochets. And then to end, you are always going to chain your 1 before you slip stitch on top of the first chain 2 you made to begin this round. So as you can see, you chain your 1, make sure you are spreading it out to locate the top of the chain 2, and over there, that is it. I'm trying to show you where it is. Insert your hook and slip stitch to join, and you should be done with round 1 in your curry yellow color. We are moving on to round 2, but first chain 1, pull up a loop. It shouldn't be that long, and then cut with your pair of scissors. You should have this round perfect detail. And of course, to prevent you from weaving excessive yarns, I do recommend that you weave in your yarn every single round. This pattern includes a lot of color changes, and so if you are leaving a lot of strands, it makes it very time consuming to work afterwards. Now this is what you should have after weaving in the ends. Very nice and neat. Now let's move on to round 2, which is the off-white round. So grab your off-white yarn as usual. I pull from the middle, and then you are going to attach. Okay, so of course you are going to make a slip knot, and then you are going to attach your yarn in any of the chain 1 spaces. So grab your carry round motif and find any chain 1 space in order to slip stitch swiftly into it. So I've decided to go with this particular chain 1 space, and then I'm going to slip stitch to join. To begin, we are going to chain a total of 2. Into the same space, we are going to place 2 double crochets. You will now have 3 double crochets because of the chain 2, and this is our first cluster. Afterwards, we are going to chain 1, go back into the same exact space with 3 double crochets. This is our first corner cluster. Okay, and this is how it looks right there. Next, you chain 1, move to the next chain 1 space. Make sure you open it up. It looks small, you might overlook it, okay? But make sure you connect it there, and then go directly into that chain 1 space with a total of 3 double crochets. Afterwards, you are going to chain 1, go back into the same space with another 3 double crochets. Nicely done. This is our second corner. Chain 1, and now locate the next chain 1 space. Okay, spread it out. Place a total of 3 double crochets directly in this chain 1 space. Now chain 1, go back into the same exact space with another 3 double crochets, making our third corner. Now to move to the next chain 1 space, you always chain 1, look for the next chain 1 space, and inside the space you are going to do 3 double crochets, chain 1, 3 double crochets. And there you have it. To connect, we are going to chain 1 and then connect on top of the chain 2 you made for the beginning of the round. Slip stitch, and you should have something cute like this. Okay, so we are going to chain 1, pull up a loop and cut as usual, And as usual, I recommend you weave in the strand before you move to the next color. So now we are at round 3 and it's the turquoise blue round. Now make a slip knot with your yarn and attach in the corner space. So if you see the cluster, the chain 1 that separates the 2 clusters for the corner, you are going to slip stitch inside nicely as seen, and then you are going to chain 2 to begin the round. Now inside the same space, you are going to place 2 double crochets. And then you chain 1, go back into the same space with a total of 3 double crochets. Next, you are going to chain 1 as usual, and then you are going to the next space, which is a chain 1 space that separates the 2 corners. Over there, you are going to do a total of 3 double crochets only. Next, you are going to chain 1, and then you locate the next chain 1 space, which happens to be the next corner, and then we are going to do a total of 3 double crochets. Chain 1, 3 double crochets. So we are going to repeat this pattern simultaneously. You see, we started with a corner, which is 3 double crochets, chain 1, 3 double crochets, and then we came to a standalone, and then 3 double crochets, chain 1, 3 double crochets. So we'll go with a standalone, which is the 3 clusters, and then you chain 1, move to the next cluster to do a corner, and then you do the standalone cluster again, and then the corner, but make sure you always chain 1 to separate, and then you end with a standalone cluster. You chain 1 and slip stitch there. So that's what I did all around, repeating it simultaneously between the cluster and the corner. So after chaining 1 and slip stitching, I'm going to chain 1 again, cut, and then move on to the next color, which is a light blue color. For round 4 or the light blue round, you are going to switch to light blue, but make sure you make your slip knot, and then you slip stitch into a corner space. So I mostly go with any corner of my choice. So this space, I'm going to slip stitch, and of course start the round with a chain 2, which will count as a double crochet. So inside the same space, I'm going to do 2 double crochet plus the chain 2 will make a total of 3 double crochets. Chain 1, go back inside the same space with 3 double crochets. Nicely done. Next, we are going to chain 1, move to the next space, and then inside that space, we are going to make a total of 3 double crochets. You chain 1, move to the next space, a total of 3 double crochets. Now you chain 1 and you are going to repeat the corner again. So you are going to place a total of 3 double crochets in the chain 1 space, chain 1, another 3 double crochets in the same exact space. And that's our corner, okay? So you can see that the standalone clusters are now 2. It started 1, but now with the light blue round, we have 2 in between every corner. And that's what you are going to repeat for other sides. So move along, make sure you repeat simultaneously, and you should have something like this. So I ended with a standalone cluster. I chain 1 and I slip stitch on top of the chain 2 space as usual. Chain 1 again, pull up a loop and cut with a pair of scissors, and then we move to the next round, round 5, which is a curry yellow round. Okay, so we are going back with the curry yellow. This time we are not doing any complex granny stitch pattern. We are going to keep it clean and simple with half double crochet all around in curry yellow. But as I said, weave in all your ends and you should have a neat work. So now I'm going to make a slip knot and I'm going to attach my curry yellow color again. This is the second time I'm using curry yellow for the color palette. So I'm just going to select the middle of in between the standalone cluster, and then I'm going to slip stitch and chain a total of 2. Okay, so now in the next space, which happens to be the first stitch of the next cluster, I'm going to have double crochet, and then I'm going to place a half double crochet in each and every stitch I find. When I get to the chain 1 space in between, I make sure I just place a half double crochet in, and then I follow along with a half double crochet in the next 2 stitches. Okay, so I'm just making sure that I follow swiftly along and place the half double crochets in the right spots. So once I'm done with the half double crochet in the next 2 stitches, I'm going to spread out the chain 1 space, and then I'm going to place a total of 2 half double crochets in the chain 1 space for the corner. And then I'm going to chain 1 again, go back into the same exact space with another 2 half double crochets. And now I'm going to place 1 half double crochet in the next 2 stitches. When I get to the chain 1 space, of course, I place 1 half double crochet in the chain 1 space, and then I place 1 half double crochet in the next 3 stitches, which consists of the cluster. So basically this round is just half double crochets on every stitch, except that for the corner, instead of the next 3 stitches, you skip 1 stitch and then you place 1 half double crochet in the next 2 before you get to the corner, the chain space, where you are going to place a total of 2 half double crochets. And then you chain 1, go back inside the same space with extra 2 half double crochets. And then afterwards, you are going to ignore the first stitch. In the following, you are going to place 1 half double crochet, and then in the next as well, 1 half double crochet. okay, and then you go into the space with 1 half double crochet. So that's what I'm basically doing all around, and it's just half double crochet, except the difference is just for the corner, okay. So I'm just placing my one last half double crochet before I slip stitch on top of the chain 2 to complete the round, and you should have something like this, okay. You chain 1, you pull up a loop, you cut, and then you are going to finish your final 2 rows in white. So what I just did, switch back to your off-white color or any color you have chosen for this part and attach your yarn and make half double crochet rows just like I taught you. But make sure you make a slip knot before you slip stitch to join, and you chain your 2 as usual, and then you go along with your half double crochets in the next stitch, making sure you are crocheting over the 2 strands. So it's basically half double crochet in each and every stitch, just as taught, till you get to the corner space where you are going to do a total of 2 half double crochets, chain 1, 2 half double crochets in the same exact space. And then we are going to move along with half double crochets in each and every stitch till you meet the next corner again. Okay, now we are at the corner space. So whenever you get to the chain 1 space, we are going to place a total of 2 half double crochets, chain 1, 2 half double crochets. And now you continue with your half double crochet stitches till you meet another corner. So that's what you basically do. It's not anything difficult, it's just half double crochet rows. So I'm going to do this all around. When I get to a corner, I do my 2 half double crochets, chain 1, 2 half double crochets. Okay, so we have 2 more corners left, and then we end the row with a slip stitch, as you can see, and then we are going to add 1 more row, okay, in off-white, 1 more half double crochet row. So go along with another row of half double crochet. Always start with your chain 2 and continue with your half double crochet till you get to every corner, and do your 2 half double crochets, chain 1, 2 half double crochets. Very easy. So I'll leave you to complete this row on your own since it's repetitive, okay? But make sure when you get to the corner space, you do your 2 half double crochets, chain 1, 2 half double crochet. I'll meet you at the end. So this is how it looks. I always end with my slip stitch, and then I chain 1 and cut off. This square measures 5 inches approximately, okay? You can add more rows if you want it bigger than seen, and that would also affect the size. So if you are going with the same size chart as mine, which is a size medium for mine, my customer's chest measures 42 inches, so I divided it by 2. That will give you 21 for the chest area, which, you know, men have broad chests, so that is what I basically use for the width of the shirts. So yes, I'm just going to weave in all the strands before I start joining. I don't want extra work, and even though it's time consuming, I prefer it that way to keep everything neat before I join. So you are going to make 51 more squares, okay, of the full square. Now I'm going to teach you how to make the half square. You start with the curry color as usual. This time we are going to make a magic ring, but if you're an absolute beginner and you don't want to make a magic ring, you can still chain 4 and slip stitch as I did for the beginning. So this is how I wrap the yarn on my fingers before I insert the hook and pull the first strand underneath the second and third, okay? Now I'm going to grip it up and chain a total of 3 to begin. Now inside the magic ring, I'm going to place a double crochet there. Nicely done. And then next, I'm going to chain 1. And then inside the same exact space, I'm going to do a total of 3 double crochets. Once I'm done with this cluster, I'm going to chain 1 again, and then inside the same space, I'm going to do a total of 2 double crochets. And afterwards, I'm going to pull the second, strand, and then pull the first one. Okay, so I'm just closing up the space. It can be very tricky, so you have to be careful to close it very well so that there will be no space left. Now I'm going to change color. So what I do is pull up a loop, take my hook off and put it back on the 2 loops down, and then I'm going to make a slip knot with my white yarn, and then I'm going to slip stitch inside where I've placed the hook. So I'm just going to slip stitch swiftly, and I'm going to pull the loose loop to now adjust and close up. Okay, so this is how I change my yarn colors, and then I'm going to chain a total of 2, and then I'm going to turn over. Now I'm going to locate the very first chain 1, and inside that chain 1 space, I'm going to do a total of 3 double crochets. Now I chain 1, go back into that same space with another 3 double crochets. So that's a cluster, a corner cluster I've made there. Now next, I'm just going to move into the next chain 1 space, no chain this time. Inside that chain 1 space, I'm going to do a total of 3 double crochets, chain 1, and then inside the same space, 3 double crochets once again. Nicely done. And now I'm going to move to the very corner, okay, the very side of the row, and then I'm going to make a double crochet to match the chain 2 I made from the beginning. So that is it nicely. This is how to do row 2. So now to change, I pull up a loop, put the hook back on the base of the 2 loops, and then I'm going to change to the next color, which is the turquoise blue. I make a slip knot with the turquoise blue, and then I'm going to slip stitch through the 2 loops. Nicely done. Now I adjust the loose loop, and now I'm ready to make the next row. So for the next row, you are going to chain a total of 2. This is row 3, and then you turn your work. So I'm just cutting off previous strand. So once you turn your work, you are going to locate the space in between the first stitch and the second stitch over there. I'm going to place just a double crochet there. Nicely done. And then I'm going to move to the next chain 1 space, which happens to be the corner, the first corner, and then I'm going to place a total of 3 double crochets, chain 1, 3 double crochets. Nicely done. So now I'm going to move to the next stitch. Do not chain anything, and then I'm going to place a total of 3 double crochets in the next space. Okay, not the stitch, so space. Nicely done. Still not chaining anything. Moving to the next chain 1 space for the second corner. I'm going to make a total of 3 double crochets, chain 1, 3 double crochets. Nicely done. And now to complete, I'm going to place a double crochet inside the last space. So in between the last but 1 and the last space, I'm going to place a double crochet in that space, and then place a double crochet in the very last stitch. Okay, so nicely you now pull up a loop, and then you are going to insert your hook back onto the 2 loops and change to the next color. This time is light blue, and then we are going to repeat the process once again. This time around, you are going to chain a total of 2. Let me cut the strand. You are going to turn your work, and in the first chain space, you are going to do a total of 3 double crochets. Now we are going to move to the next space without chaining anything, and then you are going to do a total of 3 double crochets, chain 2, 3 double crochets as seen in the corner. Then you move to the next space, 3 double crochets, another 3 double crochets in the following, and then in the corner the same 3 double crochets, chain 1, 3 double crochets, repetition. So basically this design or this half square has 2 corners, so you have to take notice. And afterwards, in the next space, you are also going to do the same 3 double crochet clusters, and then we are going to end your row with just a double crochet in the last, or the last stitch over there. You just end it with a double crochet, and then we are done with this row. It's now time to change colors. To change color, you always chain 1, and or you can just grab the loop, the 2 loops, and change colors I've been teaching you. But yeah, this is how it looks. We are transitioning into the half double crochet rows, which is the carry. So just repeat the same half double crochet all around. When you get to the corner, you are going to do the same transition to get that corner peak. So this is what I do. I'm going to slip stitch my carry or mustard yellow color into the corner, and I'm going to do my very first half double crochet row. you are going to chain 2 and turn your work. In the next stitch, you are going to make a half double crochet, and then you are going to place a half double crochet in each and every stitch, including the the spaces in between the clusters. You also have to place a half double crochet directly into the space. You see, I'm spreading it out here over there, and then you go along with a half double crochet till you get to the corner. Okay, so in the corner you are going to do 2 half double crochets, chain 1, 2 half double crochets as seen, and then you continue with a half double crochet till you meet another corner to repeat the same 2 half double crochets, chain 1, 2 half double crochets to keep the corner structured, okay, and prevent it from curling, because if you don't take that process, it would curl and the shape would disfigure. And now, after repeating that corner, you are going to do your half double crochet till you get to the end of the row. And you notice I'm always crocheting over the strands, okay, so that I don't have to weave in some ends that are not necessary. So this is the last half double crochet over there, and I'm going to change color and repeat the same thing for 2 rows in my off-white or dominant color, So yeah, quite simple. It's looking cute. So go along with your 2 rows of off-white dominant color, and then I will meet you and show you the next step. Alright, so I'm done. I'm going to cut my strand off and weave in the ends on beneath, okay. Because we are doing the granny stitch, you can't crochet over those things, it will visibly show. That's why you can't do anything about this step. It's either you tie an ugly knot or you weave in the ends like what I'm about to do. It's really important, okay, weaving in ends. Sometimes you can't, there's no loophole to it, even though it's pretty annoying with granny squares, but it's worth it. Granny squares are unique, and you can literally create so many cute projects with granny squares, and that's why I love granny square projects, even though weaving in the ends is so tiring. But yeah, this is how it looks after weaving in the end. And now I'm going to show you how to make a triangle. To begin, make a slip knot and chain a total of 5. Now locate the very first chain and slip stitch to create a circle. You can skip this process to do a magic ring if you want, but this is very beginner friendly, that's why I prefer this. So now you create this hole which you are going to work your stitches in. Next, you are going to chain a total of 4 into that space, okay. Make sure you locate that space. You are going to do a total of 3 double crochets. Once you are done with your total of 3 double crochets, you are going to chain a total of 2. 1, 2. Inside the same exact space, you are going to do a total of 3 double crochets. Now for the final step of this round, you are going to chain 1, go into the same space with just a double crochet, and you are done with round 1. Let's move to the next round. As usual, change your color. You see how I changed the color? I just insert back into the 2 loops beneath and make a slip knot with my next color, which is the off-white, and slip stitch inside. Now I can pull that strand and voila, it does not unravel. I'm now going to cut that strand and I'll be weaving it later. As I said, working granny stitches, you can't crochet over it sometimes. Now you are going to chain a total of 4, turn your work, into the very first space over there, the big gap over there, we are going to place a total of 3 double crochets. Now you chain 1, move to the next space. Inside that space, that will be our first corner. We are going to do a total of 3 double crochets, chain 2, 3 double crochets. Here we have it, and now you are going to chain 1, move to the final gap over there, the space over there. You are going to do a total of 3 double crochets. And on the last stitch at the corner over here, shift it on the side, the last stitch over there, you are just going to chain 1 and place a double crochet on the last stitch for the round. It's time to change color to blue. Let's change it. So now you are going to chain a total of 4 to begin, but let me cut off the strand. It's really important. Nice. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Turn your work into the first space. We are going to place a total of 3 double crochets. Now you are going to chain 1 and move to the next space, same 3 double crochets. You realize that we have 2 clusters now before the only corner. So you chain 1 into the top corner. You are going to place a total of 3 double crochets, chain 2, 3 double crochets, and that's the only corner transition, because this is a triangle, so it has one corner on top, pointed part on top. Yeah, so that's basically it. That's like how to understand this triangle design. So now you chain 1 after making that top corner, and then your 3 double crochets into the next space. Now you chain 1. Chain 1, and then into the last space you are going to do a total of 3 double crochets. And then you chain 1 into the last stitch over there on the white. Make sure you insert your hook. It's quite difficult. Make a double crochet there, and then you pull up a loop and connect back to the 2 loops. You change your color as usual, and then we move to the next step. Quite repetitive. You chain your 4, so as usual 3 double crochets in this space, the first space. You chain 1, 3 double crochets in the next space, as seen. Chain 1, 3 double crochets in the following space. So now the clusters are 3. Then you chain 1, you do your total of 3 double crochets, chain 2, 3 double crochets on top. You chain 1 again, your 3 double crochets. You chain 1, 3 double crochets, and then you finally chain 1 and do your final 3 double crochets in the corner before you chain 1 and do your last double crochet on the side, the last stitch over there. I shift it to the side so that you can see it well, and we are done with the granny transition row. Now the final 3 rows, of course, is going to be half double crochet rows, 1 in curry yellow and then 1 in off-white. And with that, it's really fun. It's just basic half double crochet rows, but when you get to the top, you just make sure you stay structured. So I'm going to make a slip knot and connect the curry color, chain 2, turn over, and then continue with my half double crochet transition. So you see I'm crocheting over this time because I am using half double crochet stitches, not granny stitches, which has gaping holes in between and is going to show. So yeah, you can crochet over your strands so that you minimize weaving in when you transition to the half double crochet row, and that's really fun. I love it because I hate weaving in the ends. So now we are getting to the topmost part. As usual, you are half double crocheting till you get to the chain 2 on the topmost part. So inside the chain 2 space, you are going to do a total of 2 half double crochets, chain 1, and then go back into the same space with another 2 half double crochets. And now when you are done with that transition, you just continue with half double crochets, stitches in each and every stitch. When you get to the gaping hole, of course, you place a half double crochet inside, and then you continue till you get to the end of the row. Just half double crochet in each and every stitch. Nicely done. And now you're going to transition to your off-white color. Repeat the same row for 2 more rows, and then weave in the ends, of course. So as you can see, the total number of granny square is on your screen, and then total number of squares, half squares, is also on your screen, and the triangles as well. So to join, I use the invisible join method by using a thread and tapestry needle. You can join with a slip stitch or a single crochet. It just depends on the effect you want. For me, I want it laid out flat. I don't want any joining. I want to seamlessly join, and that's why I use the invisible join method. So what I do is to pick 2 stitch markers and make sure I attach the corner to each other in order to place it in a good position for joining. Afterwards, I'm going to thread my yarn needle with some yarn. Okay, so the yarn for the outline is what you select for the joining, and then I secure it with a knot, and then I start. Okay, so when you look at the edge, you see away from the edge downwards, you are going to insert your yarn needle through the stitches till you get to the corner where you place the stitch marker. This will prevent you from having to deal with weaving in ends again. So it's like you have woven in the end automatically. Now to secure, you are now going to remove the stitch marker and do your first joining. So there's this bar in between. When you look at the opposite square, there's this bar in between. You see where I'm inserting? Exactly. You are going to insert your first not there, and then you go to the opposite side. Locate that bar in between. It's in between the stitches. Okay, you are going to insert your yarn needle and pull again, and that's how you are going to join. So you go to the opposite side, look for the bar in between the stitches, and then you insert your tapestry needle and pull out. Do the same thing for the opposite side, and that's how to join invisibly. In my opinion, it's one of the best, even though it's time consuming. But yeah, I basically join majority of the squares with the invisible joining method, except when I'm joining the side and side panel, because it won't hurt to have a slip stitch joining the side and side. But when you use slip stitch for like all the projects, it becomes very rigid, very tense, especially if you are not ready to block. Okay, and it's not always that I block. For this project, I especially did not block. So I have my squares joined neatly and laid out flat. So please, take notice of this joining method. But you could do the slip stitch method by locating each back loop of the squares to join seamlessly. There are a couple of tutorials on that. I'll link some in the description, but this is how I joined. So I hope this is helpful for people who start their granny square projects. So getting to the end, as you can see, make sure you pull to close up very well and it becomes flat like this, okay? And so I'm going to secure, make sure I join to the very end and secure each corner with each other, because we don't want any mismatched or gaping hole in between the squares. So yeah, this is how seamless it looks, barely noticed. And after that, I'm going to secure the yarn before, so yeah, I'm going to show you how I join. So basically I join in straight stripes, and after I join like in one row, and then I join, you see how I've positioned it. Just take a screenshot and let me show you. So I joined it in between, so I'm going to cut that strand off. I'll join this part, the other part, and this part, and that part. Do you get it? And then it becomes a straight line. I'm also going to do the same thing for this side, and once it's straight, I'll join all the two together to form one panel of the front panel, and then I'll repeat the same thing for that side. Do you understand? That's my joining method basically, but you can join however you feel comfortable. It's up to you. I like to share my method and what I'm comfortable with, and yeah, as I said, it's your preference. So I'm just going to secure. Whenever I'm secure, I'm making sure I'm pulling the strand through the project, the stitches to secure before I cut. Yeah, because it can unravel easily. You need to secure. That's one thing about crochet. So once I secure, I'm going to join as I told you. You see, so I'm going to join this part, you see, and then join this part as well, and the other part, and then the one with the triangle. So yeah, this is a time lapse of me joining. As you can see, it's quite hectic. So here we have it. I've joined it, as I showed you. As I said, I'll do the same thing for the panel. So you see the squares, okay? So this is how I'm going to join the other sides. I'm going to join straight, and then I'll join those two together, okay? So I'll meet you when I'm done joining this part, and then we connect these two sides. So here we have it as seen. After joining, I'm going to now join straight, like, that is the easier way because you don't have to cut, it's just one straight. So this time I can make the strand long, but don't make it too long in such a way that it will make it so uncomfortable. Okay, anytime it's finished, you can cut and join, okay, and continue sewing in that direction. But yeah, I cut this one extremely longer than the rest because the rest are short joints. So I'm just going to finish this up, and then I'm going to repeat the same thing for the other side to make the front panel. So I'm going to repeat how I joined this. I'm going to do the same thing for the other side, and as you can see, I'm in the process doing the same thing. And make sure the right side is always facing you so that you don't end up joining the wrong sides, because granny squares have wrong sides and right sides, so you have to be careful with it. Okay, so this is the back panel. The back panel contains 20 squares and then 4 half squares. So the back panel is quite easy. It's just 4 squares for the width and 5.5 squares for the length. Okay, the squares at the bottom matters. So I'm positioning the front panel, and I've already gone ahead to do the arm, which is 6 squares. Please check the size of the arm measurement. Mine was very small, was about 12 inches. So most of the times males have 15 to 17 inches. They don't want things that are tight, so you have to really be cautious. Okay, so I did mine a total of 6.3 for each row. So 1 square will be folded as seen, and I'm now taking my measurement. My length measures 24 inches, and then my width measures 19 inches. So you have to check the sizing. Okay, it's really important in order to make adjustments. As I said, my armhole is extremely short, so you can make it 8 instead of 6. So you do it 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. Okay, 8, and then maybe you add half squares if the length is small. So please be mindful of that. So I want my width to be exactly 20 inches. So I'm adding 1 row on the side and side of the back panel. This will also help me even get gap to work on the border for the front panel. So I attached my yarn at the side of the back panel, and I'm making a row of half double crochets, to add some expansion to the sides. Okay, and you can do this mostly with your base color, okay, or the dominant color. Nicely done. And afterwards I go to the other side and repeat the same 1 row I just did to add extra width to the project. So that's what I'm doing at the opposite side. I make sure I chain 2 and place half double crochet in each and every stitch till I get to the end of the row. I cut off and weave in the end before I begin the next stitch. So this is it. Okay, so this is how it looks after adding 1 row each on the side and side. You can screenshot the back panel so that you know how to join. Okay, so basically I'm letting you see how to position your work. We are going to join on the shoulder to shoulder. Look, the shoulder has a curve, so you are not going to join the curve. You are just going to join the straight one, and then you are going to join the side panel and the armhole. But first things first, let's join the shoulders. I begin by placing a stitch marker to hold it in place so that I do not have mismatched, joining. It's really important. The stitch marker is not only to mark stitches, it's also to hold things in place. And that's the same thing I'm doing for the armhole as seen. Make sure you visualize this and do this nicely to get a perfect, a perfect join. And I'm doing it for the opposite side as well. So now it's time to join as seen. So with this joining method, I'm using slip stitch. As I said, For the main project, I do not use slip stitch because of how the nature is. It leaves this seam I don't like, but I feel like it's comfortable for you to join it at the side panels and some specific panels. Even if you look at sewn projects, there are seams on the sides and maybe the shoulder level, and that's what I'm mimicking. Neatness is really important to me as a crochet artist. So basically, I've joined the arms, that part, and I'm now going to join the side panel. So repeat the same thing, however it is. This is what you are supposed to have after joining the shoulder and the arm parts, which attach towards the front panel and the back panel. Okay, now it's left with joining the side panel towards the armpit area of the the arm. Okay, so that's how I'm going to join. Slip stitches, please make sure you are slip stitching within, okay, not outside. You don't want the seam to be outside, so please beware of that. For the collar, you can see that I'm joining 5, however join 4 half squares. Okay, after I made a measurement of the neckline, I realized that it was too long for it and it needed only 4 half squares. That's why I had an extra half square line down, because I over measured the neckline. So that's a cautionary tale. So what you are going to do next is to add the border for where the bottoms is going to be. So you have to decide where your bottom hole will be and the place where the bottom will be fixed. So I chained 2 and I placed half double crochet in each and every stitch till I get to the topper part. I'm not going towards where the triangle is. I'm stopping at where the green stitch marker is. So just place half double crochet all towards this side till you see that point where the green stitch marker is, and I'm going to do 5 rows of half double crochet and I'll sew my buttons on it. So for the opposite side where you'll be having the buttonholes, you make sure that you do buttonholes for the buttons, and I used a total of 6 buttons for mine. This is how the project came out. I love it. It's so neat, it's so unique, and it's a bestseller. So you should try this and make sure you tag me on my socials.